Good morning, and everyone. I hope you are doing great. Welcome to our second semester. This is our first week here, and I'm going to take you through the CCS 102, that is Fundamentals of Development. So, hope you're going to enjoy and feel welcomed. So, fundamentals of first of all is to welcome you to our second semester, that is 2023-2024. And also I have a word for the students from JEB Spiderman. That is, choices made, whether bad or good, follow you forever and affect everyone in their path, one way or another. Every choice has consequences. No one can know the eventual outcome of any decision. All you can do is make the best choice you can make in the moment. So it is good that when you are making a choice, try to be in a position of making a choice that may help you in the future. And so make sure that the choices that you made do not haunt you in your future. Fundamentals of education, that's the course outline. So we are going to have week 1 introduction to sustainable development. Week 2 is overview of theories and sustainable development. Week 3 we have relationship between socio-economic modernization and economic growth. And also week 4 we have science and technology in sustainable development. Then we are going to have a cut, that is cut 1, and also we proceed. If you're going to follow the course line, you are going to know our out of the business this semester. So we are going to commence with the development. So what is development? So this is the process of improving the quality of all human lives and the capability of raising people's ways of living, self-esteem and freedom. So if you have a quality, what is to develop? So this means that you have something with you, and also this something you have for you is of low quality. So when it comes to development, what we are going to look about is how I'm going to improve this thing that I have in order for it to have a good outcome. So that's all about development, is to develop something, is to grow something that you have that was initially of low quality, for example, going to the best quality ever in order for you to have um, a given good outcome. Okay, so here we are going to have, there are different types of development. Therefore, number 1 we have social development, number 2 we have human development, number 3 we have economic development, number 4 we have sustainable development. We are going to commence with economic development. So economic development refers to the sustained long-term improvement in the economic well-being, quality of life and standard of living of population. So economic development is all about the well-being of somebody. How I'm going to improve the quality of your life you are living now. So if you are living in a poor background, how am I going to improve that life of yours? How am I going to improve the standards you are living in, the standards of poverty? How am I going to improve them? That's all about economic development. Understood? Anyone with a question? So we have we have two types of economic development. Number 1, we have the actual economic development. It is all about what has been attained. What have you attained when you are making that kind of development, economic development? What you have attained. It is all about actual. Actual means something that you have with you. Okay, so number 2, you have potential economic development. Potential is something that you expect, you understand, something you have not achieved, you understand. So and you are anticipating to get it. So this is what could have been attained. You are potentially, you are trying to look for to get this kind of economic development. What you could have attained, what could you could have gotten, whatever. So we are going to go to the next. that is improvement of economic development. How are we going to improve this kind of development? That is economic, the way the people lives, and the like. So number one, we have growth of GDP, that is gross the domestic population and understand domestic is what you have, you understand, growth of whatever. Number two, you have industrialization and diversification. Industrialization is all about improvement of if I may be asked, improvement of industries, different types of industries, or what could be called improvement of this sector, industrial sector. Number two, we have the other thing is diversification. Diversification is all about relying upon something in case this thing fails. For example, diversification in agriculture. If you diversify from crop farming to livestock farming, this is like relationship. If this something fails from this one, you have an alternative thing that can be able to sort the what do you call it, the challenge or the problem that you have right that time. Number two, we have infrastructure development. It's all about the things that we see, the buildings, the roads, whatever, and the sea. Infrastructure is all about the things that you see, the transport, communication, and whatever. Investment in human capital. Human capital, what you get as per your capital, how you are going to venture it into resourceful or things that can be able to make profit, to generate profit unto you. That's one way of improving the economic development. Number two, you have poverty reduction. Poverty reduction in different ways. You can educate people to do something. They can take some things and whatever. Number six, you have technological innovation. It's all about venturing into technology. In anything that you may be doing, ensure that you introduce technology, because in the world that you are living for now, it entails all about technology. Number seven is environmental sustainability. Environmental sustainability is all about preserving the environment that you are living in, ensuring that you don't have pollution of soil, pollution of air, and the like. Okay, understood. So we have development indicators. These are numerical measures that describe the well-being of individuals or communities. They include economic growth. Economic growth, we have said it. What is it? It is improving the people's living standards. Number two, we have life expectancy. It is how people are going to die and to get birth. Literacy levels is all about education. How many people have gotten the education and have acknowledged its existence. Employment rate, the number of people who have jobs, or the ratio of people who have jobs to those who don't have. You may the ratio of the job to the people who wants the job. If it is 1:2, is great. One job to employees is 2:1. That may be great. What if it is 1:7? That could not be great. The levels of technology. If you improve your technology, the economic development or the development will be high. So you have core values of development, but we have we're going to define what is values. These are principles, standards, or qualities that an organization consider worthwhile for realization of its objective. So these are principles and standards or qualities that an organization may consider being important in order for them to be able to achieve their objective or their goal. Number one is sustenance. Sustenance means something that can be able to run for long, having that kind of diversity. Self-esteem is what you have, what you possess as an individual towards achieving your goal. So if it is all about organization, ensure that all the employers acknowledge or have that kind of self-esteem and they love what they do. Freedom for servitude. It's all about if you have your employers, have you given them their freedom of how they're going to serve forever? Understood? Let's go to economic growth measures. We have GDP. We have said it is gross domestic product. Okay, this is all about this is a total value of goods and services produced within a country. Economic resources owned by citizen and non-citizen is what we earn. We as the people who are living in a certain country. Gross means it's all about that whole thing. You understand? The total value of goods and services that is produced by me and you, being a citizen or being a non-citizen, but it is all about assisting my country with achieving its objective. We have number 2, gross national product, GNP, the total value of goods and services produced by resources owned by citizens, both within outside both within and outside the country. So this is the total value of goods and services produced by resources owned by. So if I have a land, the services and the products, or I have an industry, the services and the products that are produced in a certain country for the well-being of the country is all about gross national product, but owned by citizens. Okay, so we are going to go to the types of economic growth. Number 1, we have the positive economic growth, that is boom. Number 2, we have negative economic growth, that is recession. Recession is all about going down. Boom is like that. We have improving economic growth, ways of improving economic growth, improving factors of production. Factors of production, you have land, capital, and the like. I'm going to improve the value of the land. I'm going to be in a position of making sure that the economic growth of my country or the economic growth is going to increase by raising the standards of living. Like for example, if you employ somebody in your land to work for you, you're going to improve the standard of living of that person who was initially, for example, be poor. At least for now, he can be able to get something he can be able to utilize with his family. You understand? Number 2, we have proper use of available resources. The resources that we have, are we able to use them efficiently, or are we going to use them properly? If, for example, we have mines, or we have types of minerals that we have in our country, if, for example, sodas that is in Magadi, how are we going to be able to utilize that kind of resource effectively or proper in order for us to have that kind of economy? We can make sure that there is no corruption. We employ our people there, ensure that all people who are around that area are the first to receive the job there. Understand? We are going to improve that. We are going to marginalize that kind of area. Understand? Embracing new technology. In the era that we are living, we are dealing with all about technology. So whenever we are going to acknowledge the existence, or we are going to what do you call it, accept the technology to be in our hands, we are going to have maximum needs. If, for example, if you come to the farming sector, if we are going to acknowledge the technology and use, for example, machine that can be able to dig, we are going to have something that can help us in order for us to achieve our economic growth. Okay, something called sustainable development. We are going to go through those objectives. So we are going to start with sustainable development. It's a pattern of resources use, how we are going to use resources right now. We use them in a proper way, how they cannot be able to be depleted right now in order for them to help somebody in future. We are going to use them. Like for example, if you use what am I going to say, something that can be able to use now right now, so I can be able now be in a position of sorry for the inconvenience. Sorry for the inconveniences. So, environment. We ensure that we are going to protect our environment, not for it to be depleted by some. For example, we consider not polluting the air in order for our futures, for our future dependence. We get the environment being good, they can be able to exploit the resources that are in our environment. Okay, so we have sustainable goals. Goals, we say their objectives. We say sustainable development goals, that is SDGs, are blueprint. Blueprint is the aim. It's like the aim to achieve a better and more sustainable future. Sustainable is something that can be able to run for a long. Okay, we address the global challenges we face, including the poverty. So these goals that we have, they are able to address the objective of the poverty, inequality, climate change, environmental degradation, and peace and justice. Okay, we're going to look at that. So we have sub-Saharan Africa. This is where Kenya lies. Sub-Saharan, I think, is somewhere countries that are in the sub-Saharan region. Which are the characteristics that are associated with sub-Saharan Africa? Number one is the poorest and least development region in the world. This is the most poorest and not least developed region in the world, because it cannot be able to afford. I think that area is full of famine and also drought. And number two, high levels of poverty, insecurity, environmental degradation, poor or low access to infrastructure, low institutional capacity, rapid changing demography in absence of technology, chronic conflicts. What about the diseases? We are going to look at the most important contributors to problem facing SDGs in SSA are, that is sustainable development goals in sub-Saharan Africa. Number one is you have institutional failure, that is poor policy regimes. Poor policy regimes or the rules that we are using to govern our country. If we have that kind of poor regimes or that formulation of the groups, we are going not to have any. We have poor implementation. If we have some kind of goals that we want to have, if we have or we have the objective, if we have the poor implementation, implementing is all about putting something into action. You understand? If you have that kind of poor implementation, we are going to have that kind of whatever. Irresponsible organization. We have some organization we are very irresponsible. They are not responsible at all. Poor governance. We have a demographic process. Democratic is, we have democracy. We have rules with our owners. You understand? Number two, low level of accountability. They cannot be able to be accountable of the things that they do. Increased inequality. This is the unfavorable or unequal distribution of resources. I have increased in vulnerability to climate change and pandemics. So this is something we cannot be able to change, but we can be able to try to sort it out. But it's all about climate. Number two, we have reduce the resilience. I don't know that. Interventions aimed at boosting sustainable development in renewable energy access. So renewable sources, they are the ones which cannot be depleted. They can be able to be reproduced again. So we are going to consider those renewable rather than the what you and renewable. You understand? Sustainable agricultural practices. We are going to venture into agricultural practices that will help us have much profit. Number 3, water resources management. It's all about making sure that the water that we are going to conserve it, making it good for our health and the like. Conservation of biodiversity. Biodiversity is all that surrounds us. For example, the trees and the likes. The waste management. The management that we have, how can we be able to manage it? We can dispose the one which are unrenewable, and also the renewable ones we are going to recycle them in order for them to have that kind of cycle. Rural development and poverty alleviation. So we are going to the rural areas or the marginal areas in our country. How are we going to make them be able to develop? Understand? How are you going to make sure that they have good infrastructures, institutions and the like? How education for sustainable development. So education is all about in everything that we have. We must make sure that people are aware of sustainable development. For example, number 1 is to make sure that sustainable development make sure that people adapts the technology in whatever they are doing, and also they be accountable for the things they be doing. Technological, that's what I have said, and also climate change resilience is all about making sure that people are not making our environment be degraded or degrading our environment in order for us not to have that kind of climate change. Some are the one which are brought by irresponsibility of us as humans. And with that, I call the end of this topic, and we are saying that was introduction. Today was the first day to be here, and that I've seen the group of people have joined our Zoom, and also that is so much acknowledgeable, and thank you very much.